There we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Tesla Life, episode 68 for October 10th, 2018. My name is Russell Frost, and I am your slightly confused host for this evening. So if that means the show's going to be a little chaotic and anarchy will ensue, so be it. I am ready to accept that mantle and rain anarchy down upon my friends. Speaking of my friends, my wingman on this show, he is the man behind the scenes. He's the puppet master of the Tesla Life, Mr. Mark Coughlin.
And I'm just wet with the problems that have just been raining down on us this morning, this afternoon. So,
was that a Hurricane Michael?
That might have been. That might have been. If you're in the southeast, you know all about wet weather. But up here in the north, we're having a nice day. Well, I'm sure that's helping the people in the southeast.
No Cat 4 skirting across your land. Well,
Nothing.
Speaking of a man with no hurricanes to bother him, and even if there were, he wouldn't care because his name is Tony Schaefer.
That's related somehow, and that is true. I have not lived through a hurricane in my entire life, nor do I plan on moving into an area that is hurricane prone. I would be the one that, like, as soon as they said, voluntary evacuation, I'd be like, screw it, I'm gone.
I just, you know what? I got to tell you, like, I threw the patio furniture into the pool. I've, done the window thing and gone to the store to get the extra water and batteries. And yeah. And then
you've done that 3 times, Russell? 3 times, man.
Florida, wow. Let's see, that's 6 years in Florida, my friend. That's actually a pretty, now we never had a direct hit. They always they were like heading. Oh, they're going to go a different way. Yeah. So I've got really good hurricane karma, but at least thus far. Now that I'm out here in California, I probably don't need to taunt the meteorological gods. Like, all right, ain't no hurricanes in California.
Yeah, just leave that. Right. Quiet. Yeah.
The next day, hey, a hurricane devastates San Diego. Oh, geez, what an asshole.
Hey, before we get started, I want to give a shout out and a belated happy Thanksgiving to our Canadian viewers.
Oh, that's right. Thank you.
I would have noticed and said something on social media, I'm sure, on Monday. I'm not exactly sure. I was probably busy screaming at my television about whatever national calamity was besetting us that day.
Could have been a number of things on my.
I know, and I'm beginning to wonder whether it was the morning one or the afternoon one.
Right,
coming in pairs now.
Which calamity was it? Well, and on a more serious note, our theme music composer and dedicated listener, Lee Moon, is going through some personal travails, and we all here at the show want to send him our deepest, most sincere condolences and hope that he hangs tough in this very hard time. Lee's been a huge supporter of the show and a great friend, and there's certainly we can do no less for him. So, yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
Thinking of you, Lee.
Shall we go on with? Let's go on with the show. Let's talk about Tesla. Let's talk about
on this show.
I know it's crazy, but what I'm more interested in is talking about Tesla from another company's perspective.
Yes. There are a few other companies out there lately that have been cannot get Tesla off their minds. Just recently, of course, with the third quarter results, record results that we spoke about last week and the week before, we've got now a number of different automakers that are starting to feel the pain of these Model 3 deliveries. We've got groups like, for example, Mercedes-Benz, who is obviously a luxury car maker in a certain market. We've got BMW, in the U.S. market, luxury car maker as well. We've got Lexus doing the same thing. They're all starting to feel the pinch. They're all starting to see some drops in their sales figures for the U.S. And guess who's picking up those sales? It's Tesla. And we've got some data coming in that, for example, the Mercedes-Benz C-Class, which was amongst the U.S.'s best-selling luxury sedan, saw a 24% plunge recently in sales. Lexus saw a 6.1% decline in September as well. And you've got BMW that saw a slight rise, a 1.3% rise in September. So they're weathering the storm, but certainly Mercedes and Lexus are seeing some issues with the way the car sales have been going recently, and the swing to the Model 3 that people are picking up. In fact, even other types of cars that aren't even in the luxury segment are seeing some declines as well. You're seeing that the Tesla keeps moving up the list. It's now the fifth best-selling passenger car in the U.S., directly behind the Toyota Camry, the Honda Civic, the Honda Accord, and the top of the list, the Toyota Corolla.
The Kia Soul. Oh, the Toyota Corolla.
The Kia Soul EV, I
think. And Tesla's certainly, Elon's certainly been happy to talk about how as total revenue goes, how the Model 3 is in fact outselling all of those other vehicles.
Exactly. In fact, they did a comparison where they put all the cars in the segment for, I believe it was BMW, all the cars in that segment combined, Tesla sold more cars. So you've got a huge pent-up demand of people that are buying these cars now, and they're not looking at anything else. Now, is this because of the 400,000 waiting list that's out there that people have been putting off? And of course, the car has been delayed. There's been delays in receiving what they have been after. And now this pent-up demand's been released like a dam breaking, and everyone's gone out, got their car, and of course, nobody's looking to get another car. They're not waiting for the Mercedes, the BMW, the Lexus. Their money's been put down on the Tesla, and now that's it for those people for a number of years in a typical scenario. But we're going to see more of this, and this is the expensive car. This is the Model 3 that has a higher price tag. This is the performance. This is the long-range battery. This is the premium interior. What happens when the base model appears on the scene end of this quarter, next quarter? It's coming. Yeah, it is coming. And it will be a question of, okay, now who's buying that car, and what other brands are being affected by that? So I think this is just the beginning. And as we alluded to last week, we had a story about a German engineer that posted a story about are the German automakers seeing what's going on in the U.S. and realizing that this is coming to the European shores eventually as well? Are they understanding? Are they reading the tea leaves and understanding what is going to happen? So we shall see. We shall see. But there's more and more evidence that this is quite a wave of anticipation for this car, and it's really starting to take a bite out of the competition.
This is the interesting part of what you say, which is this pent-up demand that Tesla's been serving is, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it's sort of artificially juiced the numbers, right?
Yep.
They're as fast as they can build them. People have been waiting to buy these vehicles. So the question is going to be long term next year.
Yeah. Once the initial wave is done.
Right.
Well, yeah, but I thought about that. How many have they produced so far?
5 gajillion. I think.
I forgot from last week. But you know, they said, you know, early on there was 400,000.
So it's over 80,000 produced.
Okay, over 80,000 produced. They said initially there was over 400,000. Some people have said that maybe as many as 25% of those people have withdrawn their reservation. So that still leaves 300,000.
And it also leaves the people that are still signing up on the list, which
And,
is still happening.
And people are still signing up. So, you know, 80,000 up to now still leaves, let's say 320,000 or, you know, 300,000 or 250,000. It's going to take a year, 2 years to get through that. And then, like you said, people are still getting on the list. And then they bring down the price and maybe more people will get on the list. So, you know, this wave is not just a wave. I mean, it's going to keep going pretty much probably as long as they're manufacturing the car.
Well, there's certainly a case to be said to that, because you're right. They're not going to fill that void of 250,000 cars of people still waiting. They're not going to fill that void overnight. It is going to be a couple of years. So, yeah. So this wave may be a number of waves as it continues along. And then they started to just open up another market. Just recently, they appeared at the Paris Auto Show. So that's brand new. They appeared there with the Model 3, actually a couple of them, at the opening of the auto show in Paris. So another market that's going to be, again, Europe is going to be getting their cars at some time in the foreseeable future. We don't know exactly when, but we know they're preparing.
Yeah. It will be interesting to see how this all rolls out. And if and when the much ballyhooed $35,000 base Model 3 becomes available, again, that could spike orders, you know, the new orders, and then they start fulfilling that and those vehicles get out on the street. It's going to be very interesting to see how that impacts. Next year is going to be a very interesting year for Tesla.
Yeah, could you imagine?
When's the last time we said that?
Good point. Every year.
So yeah, I mean, what if they bring another factory online overseas, an Asia factory, you know, China, you know, to satisfy the China market and not have to ship cars via boat.
Are you obliquely referring to the rumors that Tesla's closing in on $140 million plot of land for a factory in China?
Maybe.
I don't know that that's I mean, I think that's we're talking 2 to 5 years, depending on when all that comes together. I mean, that's a little more long-term, I think.
Yeah.
And of course, depending on who is in charge in the United States and what sort of tariff wars are going on with China. As it turns out, it might not be economical to build in China and import into the U.S.
Wow.
Who knows? Who knows what'll happen in 2 years?
Right, but you know, I would say, you know, they would keep the Nevada factory, and have another one, you know, over there. Because I know we've heard in the past with other manufacturers that China says if you want to sell in our country, you're going to manufacture in our country, and they hold firm to that.
I believe Tesla will open up that factory in Shanghai or close to it that will produce for the Chinese and Asian market. And but as Russell said, you're at least 2 years away from the factory getting to the point where it can produce a car, at least.
Right.
So
unless they did them all in tents.
Right.
Sprung structures, you mean?
Sprung structures.
Yes.
In Shanghai.
And David in the chat room mentions that they haven't even pulled demand levers, such as the ability to lease a car, or again, outside of North American sales. So there are levers they can pull to increase demand as well. And they're not even touching those at this point. It's a cash only deal currently. You buy the car cash, they sell it to you. That's all there is to it.
It's like bartering.
You mean I can't bring like a barrel thing full of like lithium ion batteries and trade it in for it? Right?
Yeah, I've got this bucket of cobalt. How much is it worth?
Yeah. Cobalt. Jesus, are you trying to kill us? Oh, sorry. Well, let's talk about the next story, which is just sort of the opposite of kind of where we were just talking about dangerous chemicals. Electrek last week published or noted that Tesla's published their first quarterly vehicle safety report. This was a response to some media coverage of Tesla crashes and talks about the safety, of course, of Tesla vehicles. Interestingly enough, today we saw some stuff from Elon about the NHTSA ratings for the Model 3 and how not only did the Model 3 score 5-star, but because of some other underlying numbers, that the Model 3 is the safest vehicle in the world.
Yeah, it was.
Did I take that off topic? I'm sorry.
No, well, you've kind of added two to one, but
yeah. Oh, did I?
That's all right. That's
is
okay.
that a future story?
That's a future story.
Oh, I totally screwed that up. I'm sorry.
But they were saying that this release of the what is to be apparently a quarterly safety update was because Elon had promised to come out with this just to show the facts on the safety record of the Tesla fleet as it sits, and he did come out and basically indicate that for example, over the past quarter, they've registered one accident or crash-like event for every 3.34 million miles driven in which autopilot was engaged. And for those driving without autopilot, they've registered a one accident crash for every 1.92 million miles driven. Yep. So roughly, I guess that would be almost double from the autopilot engaged compared to it not being engaged. And then they also indicated that this report's going to be released quarterly, just so people can see these types of facts and figures and take a look at where the safety pieces are coming from based on mileage. It looks like now some have said we'd like more data on this. We'd like, not just miles driven, but number of cars compared to conventional cars and other things. And I'm not sure if this report is going to expand from this, but it was interesting to see the figures that they released.
Yeah, and David in the chat put that the drivers, under human control, it's 1/4 of the U.S. general rate, and the autopilot comes in at 1/7.
It's yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna argue about those numbers, but I'm gonna keep working the other article into this. How's that?
Yep.
So that we don't have to do it later. So the NHTSA ratings. NHTSA's a government agency, so they try to be as fair, as objective, as unassailable as possible, because of course the last thing that any private company wants to see is a government agency saying, hey, so and so's the best, right? That's like an endorsement, and that's not what that government's supposed to do. So they rate all the vehicles under the same means, and they give them these star ratings and say that anything within that star group they're all the best. There's no one thing that stands out. Well, what Tesla did is they went in and they pulled some numbers from within these reports about injury rates and whatnot, and said that according to these numbers, that Tesla vehicles are in fact amongst the 5-star vehicles the best. Which of course NHTSA said, no, that's not what you're supposed to do with our data. That's not what we want you to do. Please don't do that. And of course Tesla did it anyway. And I on one hand, I get why they do it, and on the other hand, I don't get why it seems like this sort of endless sort of gilding of the lily. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, and where I get a little upset with like the first part of the story about the quarterly safety report is the focus on autopilot. And I think the focus on autopilot's a little misleading. The one of the biggest reasons, I'm sorry, let me form this as a question. Tony and Mark, what is the biggest reason why Tesla vehicles are so safe?
Oh, geez. Is it because there aren't many of them
Mark?
compared to other manufacturers?
Because the ones that are on autopilot are already asleep.
Oh, man, you guys. No, I mean, it's obvious. There's no freaking ice in the front. There's no big, huge chunk of metal that's going to come zooming through the dashboard to crush the life out of
I didn't realize this was a physics question. Okay.
Okay.
It's because the Tesla engineers have intentionally engineered the crumple zones in and around the passenger cabin to absorb and distribute the impact velocity, thus giving the airbags more space to deploy and keeping the occupants safer.
That was your second answer, though.
That was my second answer. I didn't know you were going there. I thought there was something else.
And there's other things. I mean, again, and you sort of allude to it broadly, Tony, in that we're talking about structural rigidity. The armored battery thing compartment makes the car more resistant to damage. There's a whole host of reasons why, and this comes down to not something just Tesla, but why electric vehicles are safer. Yes. And Tesla especially. And to Tesla's credit, they have spent a lot of time and a lot of money making, thinking about things like inertia and rotational kinetics and how this can save lives. So, I mean, cheers to them for that. I think going down the autopilot thing is sort of it's almost misleading. It's like, no, these cars are inherently safer because of what they are.
Okay, right. Yes, I agree. And I understand the desire to prove that autopilot is safer than people. If that's in fact, what they're proving, if that's what they want to present, they want people to feel more comfortable with autopilot. But I do see what you were saying is that no matter the cause of the accident, no matter the cause of the collision, whether the Tesla was at fault or was someone else was at fault, you are more likely to survive and do so with fewer injuries. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. Both sides need to be presented that way.
It's not just about robot software. I get that robot software is sexy and it's exciting, but
well, they keep beating that drum, right? That once these cars are autonomous, we're all in safer hands. They keep saying it. They keep presenting it over and over. And this is another facet of it. It's another, piece of the puzzle they're adding to it to say that, oh, look, autopilot cars are in less crashes than ones that are piloted by people themselves and not in autopilot.
I suppose, except no one's successfully deployed autopilot self-driving technology yet.
No, it's an in-between measure at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bill in the chat has a good question, and it's how does Tesla compare to other EVs? Now, I know that they ran the numbers, and Tesla is the best that they've ever tested or whatever. But I think the question is, a broader question would be, how do EVs rank compared to ICE vehicles? And I think short of going through and picking through the data like Tesla did and doing the math like I think Jalopnik, you say 4 stars, of course. But you see what I mean? I mean, it is a good question. Are EVs inherently safer than ICE vehicles?
You would think so, just for the fact, as Russell mentioned, there's no engine to come through the firewall at you. There is a major piece of component that is not even there in the battery electric car. But that'd be interesting to see if you could compare the data up and do that actual comparison between, say, a Nissan Leaf and something else that has a motor. What happens with a car that's about the same size, in the same crash instance? You would think the information would show that since there's no motor to come through the firewall, the Leaf is safer in all cases. But I don't know that for a fact.
I don't either.
Yeah. I don't.
I suspect I'm right, but I say that a lot on this show.
Yeah.
I suspect I'm not full of poop, but maybe I am.
Who knows?
Well, let's go on to the next story. Speaking of, no, I don't have a speaking of. Electrek announced again late last week that Tesla is rolling out version 9 of the update, but it's pulling Navigate on Autopilot for now, says some dude named Elon Musk. Oh, Elon Musk. Yeah, it says Elon. Elon's pulling Navigate on Autopilot. So you're getting a partial update of version 9. And Mark, do you have a good grasp on what exactly this means?
Well, you are getting a number of other features that we spoke about last week. You know, you get your Atari games, which of course everyone's just dying for. You get the update on the phone itself. So you've got some new features in there. You've got, of course, the ability to look at a few different things. And there's improvements. There's map improvements. There's screen improvements. UI has changed a number of different ways, and it's going across all the cars too. So the S, the X, and the 3 are getting these updates. But really. And then there's the dash cam. That's the other one that I was trying to think of.
The dash cam.
So you've got this new dash cam feature that uses a single camera. So people are going insane trying to get the update, which they have no control over whatsoever. So you've got people that are plugging their cars in, making sure they're connected to Wi-Fi. I even read a posting recently on Twitter where a gentleman went to the local Tesla service station, service center, and he connected to their Wi-Fi, hoping that he would get version 9 quicker. So people are absolutely going insane trying to get this thing. But, really, it's not by VIN number. It goes out in chunks. We don't know what the chunks are. You have no idea when you're going to get it. So there's, many different forums where people are saying, you got it yet? You got it yet? So it is pandemonium out there with people trying to get version 9 because of all the upgrades. In fact, it's one of the largest upgrades, version 9 is software-wise, that Tesla has ever released. There's a lot of goodies in it, but come on, people, let's get serious here. It's going to come when it's going to come, and that's all there is to it. I don't think you can coax it through the internet to come to you any faster.
I wonder. I mean, would it possibly? Has anyone tried? Would it come faster if you're hardwired into your network switch? Like instead of Wi-Fi.
Yeah, people are installing plugs in their car so they can run a cable out to it to make sure that they've got constant and gigabit internet connected at any point of the day or night.
Yeah. So this is Russell and I are on the same page and completely the opposite every time Apple comes out with an update.
You guys are running for the hills.
I'm going to be the last person to download that update only after I've read all the forums about all the stuff that goes wrong with it.
Yeah.
Not to compare apples with Teslas.
No, that's not a fair comparison
here, but
I don't. Yeah, I don't know that I run from Apple updates. I have issues with Apple. Oh God, I have buckets of issues with Apple, but I don't know about running from updates. I got nothing. I want to talk about the next thing. Can I talk about the next thing?
Let's go.
Only if you want to.
So let me ask you this. Chat room, at attention. No, wait, attention, please. I want to know, chat room, if I offer you a remote chance to get a free Roadster, or maybe a chance to get a little electric Tesla that your kid can ride around in, or maybe a Powerwall, or any one of those items, or I'm going to send your picture into space. Which do you want? And I'm guessing the chat room's they all want
the chat room is all buzzing now. They're trying to figure out what they want
into space.
Yeah.
So Tesla announced its new referral program, and wow, it is definitely one of the lamest, most kind of like disappointing referral programs, because instead of cool Tesla stuff, what you're gonna get, well, that's not exactly true. Actually, for one qualifying referral, they're going to laser etch any image you send on to them. And first person who sends an image of their ass to Tesla, to my respect forever and ever.
Yes.
And they're going to send it into deep space orbit for millions of years.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, if you second referral, you get a wall connector or the little Tesla car. So they still get some other stuff. And let me read through the rest of what you get. For 3 referrals, qualifying referrals, 21-inch Arachnid wheels for the S or 22-inch turbine wheels for the X. No, there are no wheels for the Model 3. Don't even ask. Or you get 1 week with the Model S or an X at home or on the road. There you go. 4 qualifying rewards, you get priority access to vehicle software updates. That sounds to me like if you get 4 qualifying referrals, you're a guinea pig.
Uh-huh.
Is that a prize, or is that that's like
well, based on the last story, there's a number of people that would take that.
Yeah.
We'll take that bait.
5. You get as you experience an unveiling event, you will be invited to an unveiling event, you and a guest, and it doesn't really say here what number this is, but there's a chance, of course, to race an electric semi truck. I think you're given a small BMX bicycle, and you have to race the Tesla semi. And then there's a 5-year extended warranty on new solar energy systems, which again doesn't say what you need for that, but there's also a way of 1 to 5 you receive $250 cash or credit per each install. I don't care. I'm bored with it already. Okay. The sending your picture into space thing is kind of cool because I'm a space geek and it's kind of bogus.
Well, they indicate that they're going to laser etch an image into glass and then send it into deep space for orbit for millions of years. So does that mean that they're going to load up a SpaceX rocket with a bunch of glass frames?
Right.
They're going to launch it into space, open the payday doors, and eject all this glass out into space. That's what I'm imagining is going to happen here.
Yeah, assuming it stays intact, because we all know what a gentle ride a rocket launch is.
Yeah. There's no G-forces or anything. And glass certainly is the perfect thing to send into space.
But if they're proposing this based on their last Tesla SpaceX collaboration, the Starman, it should be a great thing to watch based on what they did with the Roadster and Starman. But
I think I'm sorry, Mark, I didn't mean to step on you, but I was going to say if they really want to get someone involved with space and do something fun, they should do something like launch your ex into the sun. And it doesn't have to be your ex. It could be your boss, or it could be whatever. Send us a picture. We'll etch it into so that it will launch a rocket and we'll plunge it directly into the sun.
Oh, Tony, I thought you were going all the way. I thought there was going to be a secret Tesla crew that was going to show up at your boss's residence, grab them, throw them in the car, and next they're at the top of a rocket.
Okay. Already I'm finding referral people. Okay. I got a whole list of folks that I want to send into space.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean that in the best possible way. Of course. So whatever. What did the chat room think about the referrals?
So of course, the Roadster, all of the above. Derek is afraid that his picture will scare away the aliens.
Oh, I appreciate that, actually.
Well, you can do just like Tinder and send someone else's picture.
And Hockey Day saying that he's volunteering people for the first BFR rocket passengers.
There we go. Well, so the next story is, well, you know what? I don't know. Let's see. It looks like this is a video.
Yeah, we're not going to show the video, but this this gentleman, Sean Michael, who runs a YouTube channel, he has owned a Model S 2014 for 2 years. He bought it used. He's driven, get this, 130,000 miles in 2 years.
Ouch.
That is a ton of mileage.
Yeah.
And Sean has gone out and he's collected information since he got the car, and he is showing in this video what he has spent on the car since he's had it, and he's giving you a review of the actual dollars and cents he's spent on the car since he's purchased it. When he did buy the car, there was 50,000 miles on it. So I guess in essence, he hasn't driven it 130,000. He's driven it 80,000.
Well, wait, no, he says here, I'm at timestamp 56 seconds. Purchased used at 16,000 miles.
Oh, you're right. I was reading the wrong bullet point.
Right. Certified pre-owned with 4-year, 50,000 miles.
Yeah, I was seeing the 50,000. So, so over 100,000 miles he's driven it. And then he goes into the details of the money that he's spent on the car, such as, wheels seem to be his biggest cost that he spent out of pocket for new tires on the car a few times, including, so really 3 sets, one set being winter tires and the other set being all-season radials. And, of course, his annual 4-year service contract with Tesla at $850. So he spent out of pocket $6,122 on maintenance of the car since he's received it. And then as it goes along, he goes into some of the repairs that had to be done to the car, like a mirror got broken, front left door handle light went out, front suspension replacement. He had a brake caliper replacement, windshield replacement. So he goes into those figures as well. And he even indicates what Tesla paid for as part of his contract and what dollars he had to spend out of his pocket. But when it all comes down to the end, Sean basically compares it to a comparable gasoline car, which he states, in his opinion, is an Audi A7 Quattro. And the figures that he comes up with the end is that he's getting, based on what a Quattro would cost in its annual maintenance and what's required of it over a 2-year period, even with all the repairs, everything rolled in, he's 56% ahead of the game with the Tesla over the Audi A7.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Which, 21,000 for the Audi and 9,000 for the Model S.
Right.
So
it's an interesting video to watch. He does a good video. He describes it quite well, and we put the link in the show notes if you would like to go through it. It's about a 7-minute video, so it's not too long, and it's probably worth the watch, just so you can understand what he has gone through with his car over 2 years. And again, he's obviously a heavy use case person. He's someone that uses a car a whole heck of a lot more than any of us drive our cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's and in some cases, I mean, for this, of course, that's an excellent way to do it.
Yeah.
You want somebody like that who's going to give it I want to say, for lack of a better word, a torture test, right?
Right. And that's, someone driving it over 50,000 miles in a year is, that certainly adds up to that.
That's a power user. Yeah.
Yeah,
most
absolutely.
people don't do that.
Right.
What's the average, guys? I think it's like, what is it? Is it 12,000 miles average or 10,000? Something like that?
I think, 12,000 is usually where they, talk about average.
Let's ask our friend Google. It says 12,000 miles. And that's
And
the
for those of you
national average.
international, that's 12,000 miles.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want me to break it down, here's my math skills. That's about 1,000 miles a month.
Oh my God, you are so smart. I don't know how you did that.
Man, Russell's on the ball today. Let me tell you.
Everybody wants to be me.
I was looking for my calculator app. I was going to have to do the math on that.
Well,
So
let's stray from this story.
Yes, please.
And move over to something that I didn't think would happen. But it turns out
Everybody knew this was going to happen.
Elon cannot help himself. So we had the story last week about how he got into this problem with the SEC by posting some numbers and some comments that he really shouldn't have. So he proceeds, just follow me down this path. He proceeds to have a communication with the SEC about a punishment for what he had done. He decides that what the SEC gives him is, he's not comfortable with it. So he's going to back out of that agreement. And then the SEC over the next couple of days comes up with an even harsher, punishment. He eventually, at the end of the weekend, agrees to take that punishment, which, cost the company basically double what it was going to, and added another year on the term that he couldn't be a chairman. Then, after agreeing to this punishment, what does he do? He decides that, it's probably time for me to make fun of the SEC through a number of tweets, in the following days after the settlement.
Yeah.
For instance,
yeah.
So what does SEC stand for?
Yeah, the indicator of what SEC stands for in his tweet, and I'm just trying to pull it up. If you've got it, go ahead.
He said that he derided the SEC as the Short Seller Enrichment Commission.
There you go.
Before praising them for their incredible work.
Yeah.
So the next time, just set up the scene here for the rest of us that aren't billionaire CEOs. You're getting a speeding ticket. You're taking the ticket. You're like, okay, whatever. The cop writes you the ticket. You reach out the window and you punch him in the nuts as hard as you can. Okay? That is what happened here.
Something like that.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting parallel. Yeah.
I'm just, and of course, there'd be no repercussions for that.
No,
because the cop would just appreciate.
The cop would know you're upset and you're just blowing off steam, right?
Right. This is your First Amendment rights you're expressing here.
Right. Right.
Oh man, Elon, what are you doing to yourself? And the company. What are you doing? It's just you shake your head. Like it kind of reminds you of what happened with the British diver.
It's funny you bring that up.
Same scenario. Mm-hmm. He got to a point where he said something. He apologized for saying something, and then a few days or weeks later, he says the same thing again. And it's like, what are you doing? I do not understand.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
LSD,
I didn't.
I think is the speculation, isn't it? Oh, I'm sorry. I was just answering your "What are you doing?" question.
Oh, yeah. No, it's the I apologize for what I said, which, in case you didn't hear it, was yeah.
And I thought was witty. Yes.
Yeah.
No. Let me give Elon some credit. I'm going to give Elon some credit. It's been a week. Not once has he accused anyone of being a pedophile.
Oh my God, David in the chat room just said at least he hasn't called the SEC pedos, and I was responding, wait.
Oh man,
that's all I got, man. That's all I got.
I just, this actually, and we've been for too long. We've not just but it's like the market has been comparing Tesla's success rate to its stock price. It's all about what's the stock price. The stock price seemed to have been rebounding. It was like, okay, Elon had his wrist slapped. He's stepping down. Things are going to level out. Okay, the stock price is going up. And then he comes out with this again.
Yeah, and I can't say the stock price dived because of this, but it was certainly a factor. But there's been many other factors weighing on the stock market recently.
Yeah.
And today was a horrible day for stocks altogether, with the Dow dropping. I think it was the third largest drop in recent memory. So I'm not sure that I'm sure it didn't help things.
Yeah.
I can put it that way for sure.
Yeah. When I first saw this article, I was at work and I pulled up the Tesla stock and in Google, which updates every minute or so. And I just threw it kind of over on the side on one of my screens and I just let it go there. And I just watched the stock go from mid 60s to low mid 60s to almost, 260, and I was just watching it go down, and then it hit 250 the next day. And I was like, oh my God.
Yep. As we can see, again, I have no idea what he's doing. It just makes you want to shake your head. Like it's stupid stuff that's preventable, and he's shooting himself in the foot. I don't know why he's doing it.
Yeah. And, it's very often that you say to someone you actually like, just delete your account.
Right. Exactly. There you go. Thank you.
Well, let's jump to the next story.
There you go.
We've got that Australian power pack that was installed in South Australia. We had some stories previously about it making money for the owner of it because it's able to switch so quickly that during periods where it pays to have it collect and disperse energy in those short periods, it's able to switch back on and off and really help the owner of the power pack recoup money. Well, now it turns out that it's been so successful that it's starting to kill off some of the fossil fuel backup plants in South Australia because it's doing such an efficient job that these backup plants are not having to run at all, and they're just sitting by idle. And the South Australian government is talking about expanding. They've already put in a couple of bids for 2 more battery pack systems, but they're seeing that this could really alleviate the need to build a backup plant in the first place. So that's some great news that this technology is working so well that it's actually mothballing some fossil fuel backup plants, which is fantastic to hear.
Huge.
Yes. And not only, I'm sorry, Ruff, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tony.
Well, I was going to say, not just real quick, not only does it offset the fossil fuel, bumpers and the spotters, but it does it faster. If you remember from last year, Tesla originally wasn't being paid properly for the amount of electricity it was pumping into the grid because the switchover was coming so fast, the billing system couldn't keep up.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And keep in mind, these backup power plants, it sounds like a nice thing. Who doesn't love backup power? Are usually the dirtiest ones. They're the nasty ones. They're the short-term things. They fire it up and generate some electricity, and then it's not. So getting rid of them first is an excellent thing.
Yes, you're right. Usually the diesel, the ones that you can just have the tank of fuel, and you're right. They just crank them on. And then they just let them run, and they just sit there and they just spew the diesel exhaust until they're not needed any longer. Very dirty.
I have a question for Mark.
Sure.
Mark, if I asked you how many new Model 3 VINs Tesla registered, would you be able to give me a number?
About 11,000 over the past 4 days. Or that could have been our next story, one or the other.
Oh, that's our next story.
So that certainly is an indicator that Tesla is still doing the ramp. They're registering a lot of VIN numbers in short periods of time. This amount of VINs, apparently, the majority are going to be rear-wheel drive. So they've switched from the all-wheel drive to the rear-wheel drive. But again, a good chunk of numbers that rolled out, 11,000 that were registered. And like the ones before it, they just keep doing that throughout the weeks of the month. This is an ongoing thing that's happening constantly. And those numbers are contributing to the ramp that we saw hit record numbers last quarter.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful thing.
And another beautiful thing is
another improvements. Yes.
Is of course, with version 9 we talked about earlier, there is a dash cam recorder that is coming with the car. All the owners required to do is get themselves a USB stick, format it at FAT32, and you can plug that into your car. Give it you put a folder name in it, in the root directory, and your dash cam will start to work once you have version 9. Another reason why people are sitting at Tesla stores waiting for them to connect to Wi-Fi so they can get version 9. But I digress. This dash cam right now is using a single camera. It's shooting out the front of the car, obviously, and it is only recording when the car is on. It does nothing when the car is off. You have the option of when it's recording, you can pause it, or you can press a button to lock away the last 10 minutes and put it in a separate file so it doesn't get run over with another recording.
Oh, okay, good.
The total amount of time that's recorded is 1 hour in a continuous loop. So once the 1 hour is done, it goes back and rewrites the file with the next coming hour. So you're only keeping an hour worth of camera time at any given point, and that's why that save feature of 10 minutes comes in useful.
Nice.
But people have been asking, what about the rear camera? What about the side view? What about when the car's parked, if someone bumps into it? So Elon responded to a number of Twitter questions indicating that, yes, this is the beta. This is the first run at it. It will be improving. We're going to be adding features to this camera. This is just the beginning. So for those of you that want the higher end type of a camera, you may want to wait on your purchase of a third party, because it sounds like Tesla is going to be upping the ante on this dash cam as time goes along. What the timing is, we know what Tesla time is like. We're not quite sure, but at least it has been released in version 9, and Elon said there are improvements coming in 9.1. So we will wait to see, and we will report on what we find out.
Excellent.
Excellent. Yeah, this is great because we all accumulate USB drives, and I have a 512 meg thumb drive. I'm just trying to figure out what to do with, and this is like a perfect.
There are minimums, Tony. There are minimums. You're not going to be able to use your 512. So.
Do they have an adapter for like a 5 1/4 inch floppy?
Tony, if it makes you feel any better, I just like 2 months ago threw away a 64 meg Kenwood thumb drive.
Oh wow! I bet that was like $20 at the time.
It was free at the time, but yeah. Hey, let's talking about Elon talking to people. Mm-hmm. Elon sat down with Governor Brian Sandoval of Nevada and had a little talk. They had a little talk, and it was sort of it was a summit for Nevada. Apparently the high point was Elon and Governor Sandoval talking about why Tesla chose to build in Nevada. And Elon had lots of great things to say about Nevada. Nevada was the, quote, get it done state, which it's a little deep south for somebody from South Africa on the West Coast. But, and he also said it, quote, it feels like freedom. I don't feel like Elon spends a lot of time in Nevada, but maybe that's just me. But also, I mean, the exciting thing is he talked about doubling the workforce from about the 7,000 people that work there now. The original thing was that it would grow to about 10. Elon says that he sees the workforce growing to upward of 20,000 people, and talks about building housing around the Gigafactory for these people. I want to say that high quality mobile homes, which
sprung structures.
There's, I get that, but wow. So, the only thing I have to say here is that it's nice to see Governor Sandoval in his cowboy boots, taking and smiling and nodding at all the right times, just like he did when Faraday Future filled his head full of promises and dreams.
Well, there's certainly would you not agree that there's certainly a different case to be made between a Faraday Future news conference and a Tesla news conference?
I was just commenting on Governor Sandoval's gullibility, perhaps, his desire to believe what may or may not be true, not coming in on Elon's statements, because, of course, Elon never lies, and he's always right.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but he certainly has a track record.
He does have a company. It's not making money yet, but they are making products.
And they're employing people from Nevada. Which is a very good thing. Yeah, no, I don't mean to suggest that Tesla is Faraday Future at all.
Only that maybe Sandoval, like if you're going to sit down with somebody and you want some respect, maybe Sandoval, maybe not the best thing, you know?
So, did they bring up any back taxes owed to the state?
You mean like $665,000 that Tesla just paid?
Yeah.
And was a clerical error that they didn't pay?
Clerical. I wish I had 600,000 clerical errors. Jeez.
Yeah. I got nothing to say about that.
Yeah, and then So to wrap it up, Tesla did pay it.
But apparently they lost it in the shuffle and had to be actually sued by the state before they paid it. There's a give and take relationship between Nevada and Tesla.
It's almost like forward dating your checks.
It's called kiting.
Yeah, there it is. I couldn't think of the word.
It's called kiting.
So well, maybe that's why the news conference. It was like, not only will we pay your back taxes, but we're going to give you another 100 or 10,000 jobs. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah,
there you go.
It would be neat, I guess, going back to the, what are they called? Company towns?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Where everyone has to shop at the company store
and live in the company house. And
I mean, doing the middle of the desert might be kind of difficult to build a town of 20,000. I mean, I know Las Vegas, but I'm just thinking water infrastructure, all that stuff.
I don't even want to think about it, actually. Mark, I gotta ask, do you have one more thing?
It's funny you asked that, because I do have one more last thing. I have something that was shared on our Twitter feed at the Tesla Life. If you're not already on it, please subscribe to our Tesla feed and follow us throughout the week. But we had a gentleman that shared some pictures of a Model 3 wrap, which was rather unique. This
I love this.
Is like a moving picture. I don't have the video of it, but what we've got here is, as you move around the car, a kind of a gasoline color develops and fades away from your different point of view and what light is hitting the car in what direction. But it was kind of spectacular to see. I don't think I'd want it on my Model 3. But it was an impressive wrap job that I thought I'd share with the audience.
This is a 3M product that's sort of semi-holographic. It uses light interference to create these little prismatic patterns, and it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
So if you had the means, Russell, would you say this would be your car, your choice of color?
I would wrap my scooter in this stuff if I could, okay?
Russell would wrap himself in that.
I would wrap myself in. If I could have, I mean, it is so, because you can do this with paint. It is hideously expensive, and I can't imagine the 3M film's cheap either, but it's so cool looking.
It is unique. I will give it that.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. And yes, anybody wants to pay for it, you can wrap me in that.
And then can we shoot you into the sun?
And you can shoot me into the sun, yes. Or you can laser etch a picture of your butt onto me so that aliens can find me in 1,000,000 years and go, what the hell's going on?
What was going on?
Why these people died out.
They had issues.
Yeah. Speaking of dying out, let's say goodnight before the show kills itself. Do we have a title from the chat room? And if not, chat room, I'm putting you on warning right now.
We did have.
If anyone's got
Derek did mention the Asian sprung structures.
Okay.
Yep.
I like that.
We've been using sprung structures a lot, like because that's just
It
hilarious.
just fits in nicely. Yes.
It does.
It's the alliteration. It's the topical tie-in. I don't have a problem with that.
No buts for us.
Tony, you want to do some shout-outs then?
Yeah, I mean, shout outs as usual to everyone in the chat. I think at one point we had 8 or 10 people in the chat at one time, which is, really cool.
We have 15 right now.
Yeah, I always say I'm impressed, shocked, and thrilled that people take time out of their day to spend an hour with us. Because I mean, honestly, we'd do the show whether you did or not, because we just like doing this. So,
but we'd much rather do it with you.
I know we really would. So thanks for hanging with us, everyone.
Okay. Well, Mark,
I've got a couple shout-outs. I would like anyone out there that is seeing us for the first time and has not pressed that subscribe button on the YouTube page to please do so. Helps our numbers out. It doesn't cost you a thing, and we would really appreciate it. Secondly, you can follow us through the week on our Twitter feed at The Tesla Life. You can also follow us on our Facebook page, The Tesla Life #1. And we thank you all for watching and spending some time with us today. We really appreciate that, and we'll see you again next week.
Absolutely. And as I said at the beginning of the show, let me wrap up the show with, once again, our thoughts are with Lee Moon and his family during this very difficult time. So Lee, hang in there, my friend, as best you can, of course.
All right. Yep. Right there with you. Hang in, Lee.
Tony, I'm so glad you didn't make some off-color joke there. Thank you.
No.
That's my job usually. But.
Right.
So that's it. Hey, thanks to everybody in the chat room. Thanks to all of you for watching. Tune in next week and find out what is going on in the Tesla life. I can't start the music. Oh, there's the music.
There's always music in my head.
Yeah. See you, everyone. Thanks.